Outsider Report on the Coalition Radio. For those newly joining the program, my name is Irina Zuckerman, and I'm the editor-in-chief of the Washington Outsider. With us today is Mark Pohlmann. He is here from France to discuss an issue that's become a little bit hot at the moment, Telegram. Everything Telegram. And Pavel Durov. Is he a free speech warrior, or is he a tool for intelligence agencies? We'll find out today. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's begin by talking a little bit about yourself and your work. Could you tell us a bit about your background, your professional involvement in cybersecurity?
Yes, sure. So, hello to everyone. So, my name is Mark Pohlmann. I'm the CIO of Aeteos. It's a French company. At Aeteos, since 2016, we have done cognitive computing. We have created an award-winning natural language understanding technology, which is called Perception, and which we have adapted to many specific criminal contexts to support experts in identifying digital evidence. In short, Perception is helping many forensic analysts to catch bad guys. So in France, we work with national law enforcement agencies, large organizations, as well as industrial partners and cybersecurity subject matter expert like a woman called Séverine Meunier from Airbus Defence and Space.
So what exactly is cognitive computing? I understand that seems to be a form of AI involved there, but
yes, in short,
it's a little bit behavioral psychology-like.
Yeah, so cognitive computing is like AI, but let's say the foundation of cognitive computing or the ingredients to build the tool are a little bit different. While people are using mathematics and statistics to make a tool called artificial intelligence, we guys have a complete different view of how to make machines smarter. So basically, cognitive computing is all about first digging into details of neurosciences, of psychology, of linguistic, and as well as computer science. And when we mix all together, we're able to build a tool that is more close to the way humans are trying to, trying to put inside the machine our mental activities so that the machine is able to perceive, encode the information that is given to the machine, acquire information, classify it, categorize it, and at the end is able to represent what is said within a verbatim or stuff like that, so that the machine can then further process this information, like reasoning, like trying to find inside some, let's say, psychological functions linked to our emotions, our needs, and stuff like that. So it's a pretty smart technology whenever you want to understand natural language.
Well, so it sounds like you're basically playing a game of chess with your opponents, meaning the bad guys you're trying to catch, but it's not a purely intellectual exercise. You're trying to read the next move. You're trying to basically understand what exactly they're likely to do next based on psychological factors and not just predictive algorithms.
Yes, this is pretty correct. Yeah, so our approach is based on the work done by a psychologist called Carl Rogers. He's from the US, and it's the father of, let's say, clinical psychology. So basically, we have in our software replicate the theories of Carl Rogers to make sure that the machine can best understand what people say. In this particular context of, let's say, cyber crimes, it is particularly relevant to extract from a verbatim as fast as possible the meaning, or let's say basically the meaning that is provided within the text, so that we are able to alert whenever it's critical law enforcement authorities that something bad is happening online.
That is fascinating. But just to push back a little bit and to play devil's advocate, many criminals, terrorists, and others use coded language to
Yes.
disguise the intentions? How are you able to distinguish given the high specificity of particular codes in their context?
Yeah, well, as I told you, we work with law enforcement agencies, and these people have, let's say, already captured a lot of semantic information that are linked to several criminal activities, so that we are able to put this particular semantic within the software. This is one way to do it. Another way to do it is to basically do our homework by research particular topics, let's say on pedocrimes or on self-harms, on hate speeches, or on illegal activities like drug dealings and stuff like that. So this is the second way that we can improve the understanding of the machine. And then we went also a little bit further because we are also processing emojis, because many people don't use words today to express a particular, let's say, hateful content, but they use images. So that the software is also able to transcribe emojis back into words for the machine to capture the meaning. And the last point is something called algospeak. Algospeak is basically you replace some letters of one word with special characters so that the word cannot be identified anymore. I give you an example. You replace the O, the letter O, by the zero. So it's exactly the same shape when you read the text, but for the machine, the zero is not, let's say, processed the same way as the O would be processed. So it's a way for criminals, let's say, to broadcast some words that are incorrectly spelled, so that moderation software are not able to capture the meaning of what they are going to say.
Well, that brings us to the next point, and which is that social media has become sort of a microcosm of reality. And some people are arguing that it's brought that it has truly transformed and globalized communications, enabling us to work and become efficient in the ways that simply would not have been possible before this connectivity. On the other hand, it's globalized the ability of the criminals to communicate as well. So to what extent do you think social media as a concept is a threat today?
Well, today social media have become a crime scene. All these applications basically are attracting criminals. I give you an example. In the US, you have something called the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. It's like a single point of contact to report child sexual abuse material. So in 2023, close to 36 million reports have been processed by this organization. And these crimes are just online crimes. So within this particular, let's say, world of child sexual abuse material, you have something called online enticement, which is a broad category that is including sextortion, in which a child is groomed or coerced to take sexual explicit image or even meet face-to-face with a perpetrator for sexual purpose. So in 2021, something like 44,000 reports have been processed. In 2023, up to 186,000 reports have been processed. So in just 2 years, you have an increase of 300% of these reports basically related to child sexual abuse, well, to let's say, grooming. And all these crimes are just happening online on social networks. I expect that 2024 will be most probably will set new records, since those criminals are now generating child sexual abuse material using photographic pictures that these guys are downloading from social networks, for example, Instagram. And then they use AI-powered software to generate fake images and share those online. So the images are fake, but not the body of the child, but not the head of the child. These are belonging to real children, basically. And all these children are becoming victims, online victims, if I can say it like this. So in this report, you discover that 247 electronic service providers are concerned. And at the top 10 of the list, you have applications which are well known, like WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, now called X, TikTok, Snapchat, Reddit, Microsoft Online Operation, Instagram, Google, Discord. It's just the top 10. Huh? And it is just to provide you with an example related to child sexual abuse. But there are many, many more online crimes, like dealing with drugs, human trafficking, providing fake documents to criminals.
Mm-hmm.
And there are also many other places. I just mentioned 247 because these are related to online places that child groomers are using, but you have many more places today. So we should really take action to identify, yeah, like on Telegram. I'm not sure that people can report something today on Telegram.
So do you think the growing photorealism in the within AI models will eliminate the need for abuse of children to produce photos, or do you think it will actually enhance the problem?
No, they will still need raw material. So the machine is just, let's say, mixing together a set of pictures that are available in given repositories. I give you an example. Imagine I'm about to generate AI fake child images. So I need basically a repository with heads. I need a repository with bodies. I need a repository with hands, etc. So that the machine is able to pick from those different repositories images to recreate a fake image of a child. And on top of it, it will, let's say, yes, okay, put a background like a beach or, I don't know, a bedroom or whatever. And then there are several plugins that are also used to make the scene more sexual. So you have a full spectrum of dedicated software to produce, let's say, this kind of material. On top of that, because you have to understand that this technology is basically working as a text to image technology. So basically, you type what you want to see, and the computer, the program, will make an image of what you just requested. But look, how can I automate it? How can I even generate more images with such a technology? That's very, very easy. Use ChatGPT. So basically, on the dark web, you will find many people exchanging some sort of best practices for ChatGPT to generate different stories
Mm-hmm.
that are depicting a child in a particular context, so that they can just copy paste what ChatGPT provided as, let's say, scenarios, and inject these text material inside the software for the software to produce images. So basically, a couple of years ago or 1 year ago, they just generated images one by one. But today, they are generating packages of images, of hundreds of images based on the scenario that are provided by ChatGPT. So you have a real community of people who are describing how to use software to generate such content. It massively. Yeah.
And that just underscores the point that AI cannot simply create out of the blue what's not there. It still requires
Yeah.
human input
Yes.
in the beginning, and that's, I think, a common misunderstanding
Yes.
over the use of the term artificial intelligence. It's at the end of the day, it simply, transforms and transcribes existing material. It does not unlike the human imagination, it does not create things that are not there. But
Exactly. Yes.
But that brings us to the legal framework for all these activities. Are there special laws and regulations by the EU and the French government to ensure that social media companies comply with basic safety precautions? And how do these laws apply to international social media companies?
Yeah, well, in Europe, we have since 1 year, 2 years, something called the Digital Service Act. In short, here we call it the DSA. So the Digital Service Act aims to provide a clearer and more standardized rules for digital content. So companies will need to consider content removal and take a proactive and transparent approach to moderation. With enforcement throughout Europe, companies need to ensure the right system and processes are in place. So basically, the ethos of the DSA is what is illegal offline should be illegal online. So the DSA basically aims to provide a clearer and more standardized rules for large and small digital service providers across the European market. Once notified by trusted flaggers, platforms will have to remove illegal content quickly. Well, quickly understand as soon as possible. When I say this, some companies are removing content in like 1 hour. Some other companies are taking up to 7 or 8 days to remove content. So quickly, yeah, it's very relative. So basically, the Digital Service Act make it clear that platforms and other intermediaries are not liable for users' unlawful behavior unless they are aware of illegal acts and fail to remove them. But this shielding of legal liability aims to encourage companies to be more proactive when moderating the content on their platform. So yes, we have laws in Europe and in France. Are platforms proactive? No, absolutely not. They are mainly waiting for a trusted flagger to contact them. Once done, some illegal content can take several days to be removed. Everyone has to follow the law, but some companies just don't care. As an example, Thierry Breton, our EU commissioner, sent a letter to Elon Musk about this concern about X. It was like maybe 3 weeks ago. And Musk told Thierry Breton to fuck his own face. That was the reply of Elon Musk. So Telegram more or less did the same by refusing to answer authorities. So all these platforms consider basically themselves above the law, and this is not normal. So as far as I'm concerned, as I think that this is not acceptable. Those social media, if they continue to act like this, should be forbidden, at least in Europe.
Are there currently any consequences for them for not complying within a certain period of time?
Yeah, there is a lot of, let's say, they are just thinking that they can do whatever they want. They are above the law. They are, let's say, not linked to any, how to say, kind of obligation to obey someone. They just think they can do whatever they want.
But have there been cases of,
I,
fines or any sort of penalties for not complying within a certain period of time? Are these laws being enforced in any way?
yeah. Yes, it happened. It happened that they got, let's say, something to pay because they are not following the law. I am not sure that the penalty is strong enough to pay a penalty. And basically, this hasn't changed anything.
So in other words, these companies continue to ignore the frameworks and act as if they don't exist, which brings us to the question, among the spectrum of many well-known
So you have, so
Oh, sorry, you were freezing up. If you could repeat the last part.
I don't know. I just, it's okay. I'm here.
Okay, good. Okay. So yeah, sorry, you froze up for a second. Among the spectrum of the many well-known social media platforms, what is the role of Telegram and what made it so popular? Why does it hold more appeal for some parts of the world than for others?
Well, Telegram, or also known as Telegram Messenger, is basically a cloud-based cross-platform social media and an instant messaging services, which is a little bit particular. So people can use Telegram to chat with people.
Mm-hmm.
People can use Telegram to share information with communities. People can use Telegram to publish information on so-called channels. People can use Telegram to exchange text, voice, videos, place calls, make live stream. And what is also very important to understand is that Telegram can be used basically on any kind of device, a phone, a computer, within a browser, etc. I think it's popular because it is a platform supporting free speech. What I'm saying by this is that on Telegram, you have no moderation at all. And Telegram is also making user privacy paramount, stating that what users are going to say on Telegram is protected by end-to-end encryption. So it's, let's say, popular because, like Facebook, businesses can use Telegram to engage with their customers. They have channels or private groups. They also have a large community of people using Telegram. So basically 22% of the teens or young adults are using Telegram. So it's the age range from 18 to 24 years old. And 35% of young adults also are using Telegram. So from 25 to 34 years old. So a lot of people are using Telegram, and on a daily basis, you have a rough amount of 15 billions of messages that are sent, through a Telegram Messenger. So let's talk about who is using Telegram. So in 2024, you had basically 104 million Telegram users from India, 34 millions from Russia, 28 millions from Indonesia, 27 millions from the USA. It's also important to mention that in Iran, 50 million people are using also Telegram. Again, they feel protected by end-to-end encryption. So basically, they are watching this or using Telegram because they are getting news on Telegram. They are also getting, let's say, information related to entertainment and politics. They are also getting some educational content or diverse content like celebrity gossip, personal friends, discount, job opportunities, etc., etc. And they can also engage with a full set of, let's say, communities, which are within channels. Uh, so basically, Telegram is maybe more used in some part of the world than other because in some countries, the government is controlling social networks, and people may have the feeling that what they say on Telegram will never leave Telegram. So I told you about Iran.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, October 2015, Pavel Durov, the CIO of Telegram, said after denying the request of the Iranian authorities for private information about citizens of the country, Telegram was blocked for hours in Iran, but it was unblocked afterwards. Pavel Durov wrote an answer letter and announced that Iranian authorities want to use Telegram to spy on their citizens. And he added, we cannot help them in this regard. So today you have still 50 million Iranians using Telegram. They feel protected despite a clear demand from the Iranian authorities. Telegram always refused to help the government. So this was a way to show the world how important privacy is for people who are using Telegram. But now the question, are we sure of this? And there's a woman called Marina who could help us answer this question. And I will come back to Marina a little bit later.
So in the meantime, and I'll get to Durov because, as you just mentioned, one of the most valuable parts is the alleged encryption. There are two questions here, because there are platforms that's supposed to have much better encryption than Telegram. Even WhatsApp is supposed to have better encryption, and it's not even the best one. Signal and others like Session are supposed to be better encrypted. That's one thing. The other issue is that Durov, after being arrested, claimed that they're now going to be moderating the chats, the private messages. Doesn't that basically upend the entire purpose of this platform to provide a free exchange of ideas?
Yeah, how to say, they don't really provide information. What is said on Telegram basically is not encrypted at all. What is said on Telegram is just pushed on a server, and on this server, the content is available in clear text. So basically, it can be very easily shared with basically anyone. There's no encryption at all on Telegram. It's how to say, it's a swindle.
So basically, it's a psychological trick to get more people to believe they are safer than they actually are.
Absolutely. And I guess that Pavel Durov provided some examples, like what he did in Iran, that people can rely on Telegram whenever they have to publish content that is not welcomed by any government. So people, they trust basically the CIO of Telegram that he will never ever disclose information. But to say it in English, all this is bullshit.
So we'll come back to the question of why Durov is so generated so much trust among his followers. But for now, I want to ask this. So given a number of deceptive social media campaigns and disinformation aimed at friends in particular on various social media sites and platforms, primarily by Russian agencies and hackers, was Telegram a particular concern? Were there any known campaigns against French or other European politicians, or, for instance, the recent Olympic Games specifically on Telegram?
You mean the cyber attacks or the cyber threats? Is that correct?
Cyber attacks, or or propaganda campaigns, the disinformation campaigns. We've heard there were disinformation campaigns about the Olympic Games, there were disinformation campaigns about Macron, there were campaigns about other politicians and just the political system in general. Did any of that transpire on Telegram?
Yeah, so cyber attacks or cyber threats are basically part of our daily life. I give you an example. Here, the French authorities said that more or less they counted 140 cyber attacks during the Olympics, but none of those disrupted the competition. Also, let's say between July 26 and August 11, our government cybersecurity agency, which is called the NC, recorded 119 reports corresponding to what is called low impact security events. Yes, we had some cyber threat, but nothing very particular. The attacks mainly targeted government entities as well as port or transport, telecom infrastructure. But according to NC, we had just a small downtime incidents. So nothing really special. Before the Olympics, we also had some intense cyber attacks on our national infrastructure here in France, coming from a group called Anonymous Sudan. So basically, it's a group that is more or less in sympathy with Russia. But regarding Telegram, since people can subscribe to news channels whose content is not checked, it is known as a high source of disinformation and one of the best social media for any kind of propaganda, like X, well, ex-Twitter. So I cannot provide the name here of the channels because people will otherwise go to watch the channels. But those top channels experienced a significant subscriber growth following the February 2022 invasion of Ukraine. So in short, Telegram is used by Russia and other military groups like the Wagner mercenary group, which has at least 30 different channels. So yes, Telegram is part of the cyber threats, definitely.
So let's look at Pavel Durov himself, and he holds several citizenships, including from the UAE and from France. Other than founding Telegram, what role did he play in the management of the company itself? Is he believed to be more than a figurehead? Is he an active manager of the platform?
Yes, thank you, Irina, for this question. It's very interesting. So we have to go back to the life of this guy to understand his role. So back in 2005 and 2006, there were four guys: Pavel, Vyashlevav, maybe the pronunciation is not correct, Lev and Nikolai. They were all students in St. Petersburg, and they decided to create a social network called VKontakte. It's a kind of Facebook-like application. So the father of Vyshelav, sorry for the pronunciation. Yes, exactly correct. It's called Michael, and Michael is a billionaire. He provided basically the funds to these four young students for them to start this application called VKontakte. So slowly the shares of the company were taken over by multiple people having a close link with the Kremlin. April 21st, 2014, Mr. Durov was dismissed as a CIO. So Durov claimed the company had been effectively taken over by Vladimir Putin political faction, suggesting his dismissal was more or less the result of both his refusal to hand over personal details of user to federal law enforcement and his refusal to hand over the personal details of people who were member of a VKontakte group dedicated to the Euromaidan protest. That he had no plans to go back. So the good guy, like he did in Iran, I will not provide information to the government. But in July 2012, so a little bit before, VKontakte was accused of close cooperation with the Center for Combating Extremism And this center is a unit within the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs, heavily criticized for repressing opposition activists. For publication, repost, comments, and likes posted on their VKontakte pages, dozens of Russian citizens were sentenced to fines, suspended sentences, and imprisonment. Most of the cases against users are qualified as propaganda of extremism, xenophobia, and Nazism. Statistically, among all the social network services available in Russia, the users of VKontakte were targeted by police almost exclusively. Why? That's a good question. There is no clear proof as of today that Pavel provided those information about these activists. But one thing is curious. Imagine you want to build a system which is very protected, where you can say whatever you want, with high encryption, something where no one could ever know what you just said. So imagine Nikolai. Nikolai is one of the four guys. Nikolai is the brother of Pavel. And he's the winner of the International Mathematical Olympiad 3 years in a row, 96, 97, 98. He's the owner of 3 silver medals and 1 gold medal in the International Olympiad in Informatics. Nikolai, this brilliant guy and lead software programmer for VK, the first application, made a social network which was the place to be for a great number of activists in Russia, but more or less forgot to encrypt data so that those were then made available in clear text to the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs. And this is a joke, no? Either they provided the encryption key to decode the data, or those were not, as of today, on Telegram servers. So we could easily conclude that these brothers have built a kind of trap, a trap to capture sensitive information, a kind of honeypot. And what we have here with this first application are just the premises of the future Telegram.
So this seems to me a very common tactic by the Russian government specifically. They have fake dissidents called magnets. Sometimes magnets because they are used to attract other citizens. So sometimes they're called controlled opposition, but that's a little bit different. So when Durov left Russia, he was fired, he was dismissed supposedly, he left the country, but who is to say that this was not an arrangement to make him more valuable to opposition?
Exactly. And I share the exact same feeling, because when you watch at this story, by leaving Russia, by basically saying what he said as he left Russia, like, I will never go back. I will never provide information. I will never. He just tried to build a very high confidence in the product that he's providing to people, for people to express whatever they want to say on this particular network. Remember also that at this particular time, the world was heavily using WhatsApp. And we know that the company behind Meta, Facebook, is basically using what people say on WhatsApp for marketing purpose. They are going to exploit the data of users to better sell products. So this is very known. So sometimes people may think that, well, using WhatsApp, it's not that secured. Maybe I cannot say all I want on WhatsApp because what I'm saying is still processed by a company called Meta. But for all the nasty things that I want to share with other nasty people, I should find a sort of new paradise for my for all my things, and Telegram is a place to be. He already said to Vladimir Putin, basically, I will never share data with you, and I prefer to leave Russia. Take a plane, and you will never see me again. It is such a beautiful story.
So, and it's interesting that he chose to settle in UAE, of all places, which over years has developed much closer level of cooperation with Russia. But we'll get to that. Now, I want to look at something else. At one point, Durov was considered a valuable asset, which is why he received French citizenship. Why was his work
Yeah.
considered to be of such value? Was he ever seen as a potential technology bridge to the Middle East or Russia?
Yeah, well, it's a good question, and it appeared in the news after the arrest of Durov. So basically, Macron, our president, decided to grant Russian-born Durov a French citizenship in 2018. At that time, it was a conscious choice made by the government to attract famous people, athletes, artists, innovators, etc., etc. So Durov was not the only one on the list, if you prefer. Official records show Durov was formally granted French citizenship on August the 25th, 2021. So basically 3 years after what Macron decided. If you dig into the details, there's an in-depth report by Le Monde, which is a newspaper here in France. Last year, they wrote that they highlighted a kind of lack of transparency surrounding this particular matter, with questions raised about whether the Telegram boss was fulfilling the required criteria to become a French citizen. And the answer to this question is no. No, because he did not live in France. He does not have a refugee status. He does not come from a francophone country. And he never performed military service for France in time of war. So the paper Le Monde provided an initial element of the answer to this question in 2023. So basically, Durov benefited from a practice of naturalization, which is pretty rare and very discreet and political. It's called the foreign emeritus. It is more or less awarded on the initiative of the government to a francophone foreign national who contributes through his meritorious actions to influence of France and the prosperity of its international economic relation. In short, bullshit. Because the French government intended to move Telegram headquarters to Paris, and that was at least the most plausible information. The Wall Street Journal revealed on August 28, 2018, that Pavel Durov met Emmanuel Macron at his invitation during a lunch in Paris. The French head of state would then have invited him to move the headquarters of Telegram from Dubai to Paris in exchange for a French passport. The proposal that the native of Leningrad would have refused at this time, claiming to want to prevent any government from controlling Telegram. Again, the same story. But at the time, the Wall Street Journal explained that the French authorities were concerned about ISIS during using Telegram to recruit agents and plan attacks on France. So much so that in addition to this proposal to move Telegram, the French secret services, in collaboration with their Emirati colleagues, hacked Pavel Durov's mobile phone in a coded operation under the name of Purple Music. So again, Telegram is the owner of a very, very sensitive data, and it is easy to understand that some countries want to take advantage by getting those. it's most probably what France wanted to fight against terrorism. So all this is clear if you see that under this particular angle.
So Pavel Durov, the master of encryption and secure services, supposedly had his phone hacked by two by two countries. I mean, if
Yeah, yeah.
well, that in itself raises a
It,
lot
it
of
is it,
questions.
it is crazy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is a crazy story. But yes, it's very probable that this happened exactly like that. Yes.
So
Yeah,
this is
and I'm still not. I'm still not clear about if Durov, well, Pavel, if Pavel is able to write complex computer code. I'm not sure. Nikolai, the brother, he is the one writing computer code. So maybe Pavel is just a nice guy flying within a jet with people, and that's it.
But from what I understand, the Emirati citizenship is also not easy to get. There are people from GCC countries that live in UAE for many years and have not received the citizenship of the country. So Durov clearly must have been seen as of some value that he was given priority over all these local people with much closer relationship to UAE than somebody who moved there 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So
Yeah.
that brings us to the next point. So for a while he was considered to be this important guy with important information and important services. But at what point did Telegram start becoming a security concern to the French government? What were the red flags that made them decide that he's not just, this possible asset worthy of transporting to France, but something more dangerous? And when did
Yeah.
he himself become, as a person, not just a manager of Telegram, become more of a liability than an asset? Because as we can see, they didn't just freeze the company, they arrested him personally.
Yeah. So to my opinion, this should have been before 2018. There should have been a clear evidence that Telegram would be a great source of information to prevent terrorism. So this is why the guy was attracted to Paris, basically. Yeah.
So many cybersecurity experts have for years warned that Telegram became a cover for assorted cybercriminals, terrorists, and extremists. How did that
Yeah.
happen? And how were all these nefarious actors able to utilize their platform, technically speaking? Some security analysts I've heard claim that Telegram was designed to be a cover for all this activity.
Yeah, it's correct. Telegram is always and has always been a place where free speech is welcomed. So there is no kind of moderation at all on this platform. For this reason, since all is allowed, it is the best place for criminals. This platform make it possible to exchange illegal information, and criminals are sure that authorities will not have access to what is said on Telegram because Durov never provided information to anyone. Again, I have a friend called Marina, and Marina would maybe not agree to this. I will come back to Marina a little bit later. But what are these crimes? For all of us to understand, these crimes are basically threats on countries, on cities, on places, on events, on people. On Telegram, you have terrorist organizations, you have human trafficking, you have hate speeches, illegal drug deals, weapon trafficking, prostitution, porn crimes, pedo crimes. And when I'm mentioning pedo crimes, it's at the hardcore level or at the hardcore level. You have bestiality content, bullying, scamming, gore content, countless paraphilic content, criminal organization, cartels, mafias, far left organization or far right organization. All this in just one single place called Telegram. It's crazy. It is crazy that this is still allowed. Yeah.
So some, as I mentioned, some analysts believe Telegram facilitated criminal transactions and exchanges from its inception. So it didn't just not moderate, but actually sought to attract such people. How did it simultaneously manage to hide this dark web aspect of its function while becoming a seemingly welcoming space to diverse voices, including various dissidents and human rights defenders?
Yeah. It's very easy to understand. So each group will have its own space, his own set of keywords, if you prefer. So to find the group on Telegram, you can just search for the Telegram channel that you want to subscribe based on your interest. So there is no public list. Knowing the name of a given illegal activity, you just search for Telegram channels that do promote this content, and you subscribe to it. That's very easy. Each time a new content is published, then you are informed. So you just need to have a keyword in your mind. You click on this icon showing a sort of search icon. You click your illegal stuff, let's say drugs, and then you will have all the groups listed one by one where you can find illegal drugs. You subscribe, and whenever something new is published, you are informed. As easy as that. So you probably think that some of the content is hidden, but you are wrong. It's not hidden at all. You just don't have the keywords to have access to it. So nothing is hidden on Telegram. Yeah.
So it's all in plain sight. Basically, if you want to look for dissidents, you'll find them. And if you want to look for criminals, you'll also find them. Just,
Yes, nothing is separated. You have all available just on your smartphone. Yes. Yeah.
So over time, there's been a growing number of reports that Telegram is at the very least technically less secure than other social media platforms. Why is it that despite these reports, so many people gravitated towards it, and as opposed to other social media platforms?
Yeah. Maybe because Telegram is not owned by any GAFA. Maybe because people think that on Telegram they are better protected, which is not the case. Maybe because on Telegram they find in one single place all possible kind of inappropriate content. Or maybe because people have lost trust in regular medias and they believe that on Telegram or other social media they will find more accurate information. Maybe a mix of all this. But from a technical point of view, there is no reason at all to use Telegram. You have better application to protect your privacy. I give you an example, Signal. Signal is a great application. Telegram for privacy? No, it's a joke. It's just a joke. Yeah.
So essentially, all these people basically disregarded expert warnings because in their mind it was more secure just because of trust. So this now brings us to this question of trust. Because now information emerged from anonymous sources that were retweeted by Russian opposition members about Durov's alleged secret trips to Moscow between 2015 and 2021 after his cryptocurrency project in the United States failed. How was he able to conceal his travels? Is there any further information about his potential collaboration with the Russian intelligence agencies who had to have been aware of any such entries into the country? And were there any noticeable changes in Telegram or Durov's actions during this period?
It is a very smart and nice question. So many thanks to you. It's time now maybe to talk about my friend Marina. Um, so you better understand all this. So February 24, 2022. It's basically the day Vladimir Putin's forces launched their full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And on that day, a handful of Russian opposition politicians gathered in front of St. Petersburg Palatial Law, Order and Security Building. They had come to officially request permission to hold a rally opposing the war, which they knew would be denied. Among the group was, my friend Marina Matsapulina. She is 30 years old and is the vice chair of the Russian Libertarian Party. 9 days later, Marina was awoken around 7 a.m. by someone banging at her apartment door. The pounding continued like that for 2 hours. At 9:22 a.m., she heard a much louder noise. She had just enough time to lock her phone before the door caved in. 8 people surrounded Marina's bed. They included, she recalled, 2 city police officers, a 2-person SWAT team, yielding guns and shining flashlight in her face, and 2 agents from either the Center for Combating Extremism of the Federal Security Service or the FSB, if you prefer. It's the successor of the KGB. And these officers told her to lie on the floor face down. They told Marina that she was suspected of emailing a police station with false bomb threat. But when she was taken into the Ministry of Internal Affairs Investigation Department, she says a police officer asked whether she knew the real reason she'd been arrested. She guessed it was for her political activities. But the guy nodded and asked, "Hey, you don't know? We know where you were home." And she said, "Well, how did you know that I were home?" He told her that the FSB has equipment that can pinpoint a phone's location within 1 meter, which didn't surprise her. In many countries like Russia, state-owned telecoms often cooperate with security forces, allowing them to track Russian SIM cards. Then the officer said something that left Marina stunned. There you were, sitting there, writing to your friends in the chat room. She recalls him saying. He proceeded to dispassionately quote word for word several telegram messages that she had written from her bed. And so he said, "We knew that you were there." Marina was speechless. When she was released 2 days later, Marina learned from her lawyer that on the morning she was arrested, police had searched the houses of some 80 other people with opposition ties and had arrested 20, charging each with terrorism related to the alleged bomb threat. Later in April, after having made it safely to Armenia, Marina recounted the episode in a Twitter thread. She ruled out the chance that anyone in her close-knit group had been cooperating with security forces. They all also left Russia by then, which left 2 conceivable explanations for how the officers had read her private telegram message. So option one was that they had installed some kind of malware, like the NSO group in famous Pegasus tool on her phone. But based on what she gathered, the expensive software was reserved for high-level targets, and she was not likely to have been turned on a middle figure in an unregistered party with about 1,000 members. So it makes no sense. The other unpleasant explanation, she wrote, is, I think, obvious to everyone. Russians needed to consider the possibility that Telegram, the supposedly anti-authoritarian app co-founded by the mercurial St. Petersburg native Pavel Durov was now complying with the Kremlin's legal request. This is a very nice story because basically it is showing that Telegram is able to provide any kind of information to the Russian government in real time. And it makes a lot of sense. So I'm really pretty sure that this social media is used to provide sensitive information to Russia. Yes.
So if Durov did travel to Russia for so many times, as alleged, around 60 times he went there, back and forth, how did no one find out until now? And if so, if during this time Telegram was actually being used to provide information to the government, how did this also not raise any questions?
Yeah, it's all happening behind the scene. It is not public. It is maybe, the guy is frequently traveling to Azerbaijan. Maybe he made contact there. Maybe they use some IT stuff, IT servers to provide information in real time to local Russian authorities. One thing is clear. How could Marina be arrested? It makes no sense. The only way Marina could have been arrested is by Telegram providing information. So it is very clear that at this time, and we were in 2022, that Telegram is providing to the FSB information about people that the FSB is targeting. So it was Marina, but what about, let's say, the people in our country? How many politicians are using Telegram? How many people in our parliaments are using Telegram to exchange information? Maybe people from our military force, maybe people who are, let's say, in the front in Ukraine, soldiers providing their GPS location when they are online on Telegram to the enemy. Telegram is a real threat to our nations. And what Marina experienced is just a proof that today information is provided to Russia or to other, let's say, shareholders of Telegram. Yeah. Basically, Durov is just providing information to his customers.
So speaking of customers, Durov claimed to be this dissident, but his other project, VK Vkontakte, always, has had a seal of approval from the Russian state, even at the moment when Telegram appeared to be sort of off bounds. Didn't that kind of raise any questions or concerns with the users of Telegram?
No, I don't think. He always played the role of the good guy, fighting for free speech. He left his country saying, I will never come back. It's all this is a joke, it is just like it's a big swindle. So what else can I say? What else can I say? It is just a swindle. We are just too naive. Yeah.
So here's the question. How did Durov fit in with other social media billionaires, all the Silicon Valley types? Is there a type of subculture among the big tech elites that raises concerns about security and privacy in general?
Well, I don't know. The only thing that seems obvious is that those people, Durov, Zuckerberg, Musk, have a lot of power because they possess information. Information today is like gold, you know. So due to the nature of this application, the lack of control over who is signing in, due to the total absence of moderation and some collaboration with authorities, all these networks, including TikTok, are for me a clear threat to our security and our privacy. All we say on these networks are not private at all. Thinking that this is the case is completely wrong. Data are available and are exploited for money or for power. As easy as that.
Durov is widely lauded by libertarians, Trump supporters, and others as a free speech warrior, while also allowing authoritarian intelligence agents and extremists to use his platform. So, is he a free speech champion who is just reckless with information, or is he an agent of foreign powers such as Russia? How do how can we explain this dichotomy in his image with many people who are supposedly anti-authoritarianism defending him now?
Wonderful. Let me put it in this way. Telegram Messenger is a free application. Anyone, just anyone, can download and use it. But to provide this application to 900 million people, to fly with a private jet around the world, to be just that rich, from where does all that money comes? Who is paying Durov? There's no advertisement on Telegram. Look, the money to run Telegram comes from Pavlov himself or some additional services like in-app purchases, premium subscriptions, or sponsored messages. But if you look at the figures, this is only bringing 4 million, well, on Telegram, sorry, you have 4 million paying customers only out of 900 million. So as an example, in-app purchases are bringing to Telegram a revenue of about 6 million US dollar, 6 million US dollar. So these are the numbers of February 2024. That may seem a lot, but to run the infrastructure of an application with 900 million active users, pay employees, the private jet, and all the rest, this money, this 6 million US dollar, is not enough. So, who is David Yakubashvili? Who is Roman Abramovich? And who is Dmitry Yeremev? I just took three guys. Dmitry is a Russian citizen and founder of Bank 131. David, he's one of the founder of the largest Russian company, which is called Wimbledon. It's a manufacturer of dairy product, juices, beverage, etc. Roman is like the best guy. He's a Russian businessman. He now lives in Israel, and his net worth is estimated around 14 to 15 billions. He's the second richest person in Israel. It's also said that Abramovich is considered to have a good relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin. But there's still an allegation that Abramovich denied that particular relationship. But look, because there is Abramovich, he was the first person to recommend to Yeltsin Vladimir Putin to be his successor as the Russian president. When Putin formed his first cabinet as a prime minister in 1999, Abramovich interviewed each of the candidates for cabinet position before they were approved. Subsequently, Abramovich would remain one of Putin's closest confidants. In 2007, Putin consulted in meetings with Abramovich on the question of who should be his successor as president. Medvedev was personally recommended by Abramovich, but no, these guys have no good relationship at all. I'm just naming these three guys. They're all invested in Telegram in the recent years. In 2021, Durov raised 1 billion. One of the investors was from Abu Dhabi. It is the Mubadala Investment Company. And the third guy behind the scene who provided money to that investment company based in Abu Dhabi was the Russia Sovereign Wealth Fund. This fund was founded basically back in June 2011 under the leadership of both Russian President Dmitry Medvedev and Prime Minister Vladimir Putin. So there's a lot of evidence that the money that has Telegram is coming from the Russian people or the Russian state itself. Knowing where the money is coming from, there is a good probability that Durov is close to the Kremlin and that he serves the interest of his money givers. So providing the world with a messaging app where free speech is paramount could be considered as a kind of trick, a kind of Trojan horse to make people believe that they are safe to share and say what they want, while Telegram is collecting information and has the power to share this intelligence with who will pay to get it. It's just pretty smart.
So, in addition to all these questions, Durov is now defended by both Edward Snowden and Elon Musk. Elon Musk, by the way, notoriously received funding from two Russian oligarchs from Qatar and from Saudi investors known for their links to the Muslim Brotherhood. Does that raise any questions or concerns? Did Durov express any particular views or had any other business links to any of these parties?
Yeah. At least, yes, for me, it does raise a lot of concern. Durov is linked to the UAE. Telegram headquarters are there. Telegram is still receiving funds from oligarchs and the Russian state. If we would consider Telegram as a regular business, we could say that all these people are Telegram clients. As with any other business, your goal as a business owner is to serve your clients and their interest. Telegram is offering a safe place to many terrorists linked to the Muslim Brotherhood or ISIS. Telegram is offering a safe place to Russia, which is doing war in Ukraine. And the information shared by these people on Telegram is just safe there. Telegram is a direct threat to our democracies.
Even when we consider the matter of free speech, there's a balance between allowing a private space to be utilized for free exchange of ideas and consorting with state or unfree interests. To what extent did Telegram strike this balance? Was its free speech function ever separable from the criminal activities that went on? Or can it be said that free speech was just bait to lure in prospective victims of criminal data harvesting, foreign security agencies, and the like?
Yeah, so here in Europe, everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. Here in Europe, everyone has the right to freedom of expression. This right shall also include the freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart information and ideas without interference by public authorities and regardless of any frontiers. In that respect, Telegram, like many other social networks, is allowing such expressions. But then are coming the bad guys with criminal intentions. They have here on Telegram or other social media a digital space to exchange information, using such a media to prepare a terrorist attack, to kill people, to sexually exploit children to sell drugs, all those activities are illegal and are criminal, but they are there on Telegram. Since nothing is moderated, all is permitted. Since nothing is reported to authorities, all these groups have found there a kind of gangster paradise. Nothing can be separated. Only moderation would help to identify those criminals' activities and prevent that information are made available to others within a conversation or group or channels. Look, this can be done even in real time. We guys at Aetheos have demonstrated that back in 2022. So there could be a kind of filter function used by Telegram to identify criminal content and also better work with authorities to fight against criminal activities and respect the DSA. So yes, you can see social networks as a trap to collect information and share it. For business or marketing purpose, that is what WhatsApp is doing. I told it to you before. For what reason does Telegram do it? Most probably for intelligence reason. You know what people are saying and you know where they are. It's then pretty easy to take an action. In that region, X and Facebook have been blocked by the Russian authorities, but not Telegram. It's like the Kremlin would push people to use Telegram. But for what reason? Battlefield information? Intelligence? GPS position of the Telegram users? All that information is available and can be shared. After Pavel got arrested in Paris, a Russian Telegram channel close to the country intelligence agency called BASA reported that the country's security officials had received a directive to delete the application from their phones. Everyone who got accustomed to using Telegram for sensitive conversation and chat must immediately delete them and don't do it in the future, said a woman called Margarita Simonian, a Russian state media executive and prominent propagandist. Isn't that a curious statement? If conversations are encrypted and secured, why such a statement? What Margarita said, in other words, is that Telegram is used as a trap and that it should not be used anymore.
So the Russian government's reaction was certainly interesting. All the Russian propagandists came out immediately in support of Durov's release, but on the other hand, they're also afraid that he will turn over the information to the French government as part of a potential cooperation agreement, judging by their reaction. But what was the final straw that finally made the French government open a case against Durov? I mean, all of this information was obvious for many years. What finally brought them to decide that he needs to be arrested? When was the warrant issued exactly? Why was there no controversy about it at the time it was issued? Why all the noise only now that Durov was actually arrested? And
So basically, according to a legal document seen by Politico, the investigation that led to his arrest originated with a branch of the police known as the Hoffman. It is a recently created unit charged with looking into abuse against children. So, research into social networks in which allegedly criminal abuse is exchanged are circulating openly on the internet. For example, dozens of links to corresponding Telegram pages can be found on social media platform X every hour. So on February the 8th, 2024, at the request of the Paris Public Prosecutor Office, the Hoffman opened a preliminary investigation into Durov and his brother Nikolai, who is in charge of the app technical infrastructure. On March the 1st, the prosecutor office asked the police anti-cybercrime unit to collect all information about ongoing investigation into potential crimes that involve the use of Telegram. 3 weeks later, March 25, warrants were issued for the Durov brother according to the document. At issue was that law enforcement official described as Telegram's unwillingness to answer requests for information. Example, the National Gendarmerie alone counted 2,460 unanswered requests made to Telegram, according to another French newspaper called Libération. A French justice official told also Politico that the gendarmerie figures were just indicative but not exhaustive. So, in short, expect more requests which were not answered by Telegram. On August 24, French border police flagged to Hoffman and the police central directorate that Durov was flying to Paris. He was then arrested as he stepped off the plane. As for the rest, I just don't know. But look, pedocrimes are very serious crimes, and Telegram is a huge crime scene for pedocrimes. Arresting Durov was the thing to do, but in a statement, Paris prosecutor Laure Becquio said the investigation centered on the following 12 charges. Some of them are related to the case submitted by the Hoffman, like refusal to communicate at the request of competent authorities information or documents necessary for carrying out an operation interception allowed by law, complicity in possessing pornographic images of minors, complicity distributing offerings or making available pornographic images of minors in organized groups. So all these things are related to pedocrimes and to the request of the Hoffman. But what about all other charges? They have nothing to do with pedocriminal activities. I give you an example. Webmastering an online platform to enable an illegal transaction in an organized group, acquiring, transporting, possessing, offering, or selling narcotic substances, so basically drugs, offering, selling, or making available without legitimate reason equipment, tools, program, or data designed for or adapted to get access and to damage the operation of an automated data processing system, organizing fraud, etc. All these crimes have nothing to do with pedocrimes. So I really think that there is more behind this arrest.
So, in other words, we could probably expect a superseding indictment in the future. But it's interesting that in light of these thousands of requests that are almost too many to count, on his latest Telegram post, Durov claimed that the authorities he denied that anyone reached out to him. He said, "Oh, well, they should have just asked for cooperation instead of arresting me." This is unbelievable. So he basically is counting on people being too ignorant to read the actual the public information, and that it's not being distributed widely enough, and he is playing off his trustworthy image and expecting once again for people to take his word for it. This is exactly the way a con artist operates. He plays on public trust, on image, and not ignoring all facts that contradict this appearance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that brings us to these actual charges. There are questions about the laws under which Durov was arrested, which are mostly complicity in an assortment of crimes that you have just described. Do these charges indicate him being an accessory to a conspiracy or to other crimes? Do they mean he merely acted with criminal negligence or recklessness, or is he being charged as a knowing facilitator of these transactions?
Yeah, well, I cannot answer these questions. An investigation is currently underway, so I cannot comment on that. But please remember, Telegram is a trap. Telegram gets money from key Russian business people, and these people are linked to the Kremlin. The FSB used in the past data from Telegram to arrest people or get intelligence to better kill Ukrainian soldiers. It is not a negligence. It's a functionality of Telegram. It's not just an accessory, but a true facilitator for various crimes. It is just my opinion.
So, in light of what you just said, when should we expect for the evidence against Durov to be presented? And what do these charges mean for the future of Telegram itself and its users?
I don't have that information. I just hope that pedocriminals will be identified and arrested.
So it seems to be a fairly wide investigation, and there's probably going to be more parties looked into than just Durov itself, allegedly, including the criminals who were actually using the platform. One would hope. Durov's lawyer appears to be a well-known attorney, but without a specific background in cybercrimes. What could be the reason Durov chose that particular lawyer and not a specialist in the area he's being charged?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I have no idea at all. It is curious. I totally agree with you. His lawyer is a famous guy. So maybe a famous guy has asked another famous guy to represent him. There's no clear link. I don't understand.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of strange things about the story. So that also leads us to the question about the circumstances of Durov's arrest. Many have expressed surprise that Durov would have even a refueling stopover in France, given the seriousness of the charges he's facing. Some argue that he could be exchanged for a French national arrested in Russia. Others believe Durov could be cooperating with the French authorities or as a material witness against some state interests. Are there any reasons Durov could there be any other reasons Durov ignored the threat of the arrest? Was he facing some challenges or threats before coming to France? There are rumors he was to meet with Putin in Azerbaijan, but that did not happen, that Durov supposedly flipped after that. If such a scenario had any plausibility, do you think it would change the minds of those who believe Durov is being unfairly prosecuted?
Well, I don't know. I have no information about this, but as you said, if this scenario had any plausibility, yes, it could be pretty normal that this trip to Azerbaijan was done to meet Putin. I don't think that even if this information would be confirmed at some point, that this would change the mind of people who do think that Durov is prosecuted for unfair reasons.
So is it possible, is it likely that he is going to be exchanged, or that he is actually trying to gain some sort of partial immunity in exchange for cooperation?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's a French citizen. He has a French passport. Why should the French government exchange a French guy with, another foreign guy? That makes no sense.
Right.
So no, he will, I think, stay in France and stay in France for a long time. It's a sort of war trophy.
Do you think that the image of Durov that has been created as a martyr for free speech cause helps Russian authoritarian regimes? Can such an image ever be dismantled?
Well, yes, of course. Of course, yes. If the whole world is sad about what is happening to Durov, and because of the popularity of Telegram or other social media platforms, if because of this authorities stop their investigation or resign, Telegram, as it is today, will just continue collecting user data and share this data, remember what happened to Marina. If such platforms are moderated, it will be more complicated for criminals to operate on Telegram, and the user information will be without any interest to some regimes. So, yeah.
One, you know, so one of the claims that has been widely pushed by the libertarian types in the US in particular, but also elsewhere, in support of Durov, is that unlike his various American social media giants and counterparts, he was not leaking or selling private data allegedly. And you've already provided circumstantial evidence that it was not the case. But is there a more clear counter to that alleged defense of his reputation?
No. Just ask Marina. Look, Durov did it already in the past several times. He can do it in the future. He has the data. He has plenty of potential customers who could pay a lot of money to have access to information. Why should so many people in Russia give Durov money just for nothing? That's not serious. In addition, Telegram servers are in locations that make it difficult to seize the machine. So unless we decide to ban Telegram from our countries, the threat that Telegram will share our communication does exist. And for me, the risk is that this was or is done is pretty high.
Do you think that Telegram users should be migrating to other platforms? Has Telegram already become, or will it become in the future, a weapon of various interests against the West?
Yeah. What do you mean by users? If you are talking about me or about you, citizens who do look for privacy, move away from Telegram, move away from WhatsApp, move away, in short, from social media. For me, Telegram is from the beginning a weapon against many states or people. Data is most probably sold to intelligence agencies or governments. What we put there is not safe at all. In Europe, Telegram should be banned. We should not be able to install and run this software in our region. That would protect us a lot, but it's not the only social network that should be banned. We should also ban TikTok, just to name another one.
Rumors circulated that UAE cancelled a jet contract with France over Durov's arrest, which was later proven to be false, yet continued making the rounds. Who do you think is behind that story? Who benefits from exploiting any rift between Abu Dhabi and Paris? UAE expressed concern about the fate of their citizen, but so far appears not to have undertaken any actions. What can be said about UAE's role under the circumstances, given its geopolitical interests with both France and Russia? Is there a bigger game to play than Durov here? Are we giving Durov and Telegram too much importance? And should we perhaps be looking at something else?
Well, how to answer this question? Maybe look at the facts. Durov was arrested because the Hoffman in France issued a warrant because on Telegram they are pedocriminals. Pedocriminals activities, and because Telegram refused to provide information to law enforcement authorities. But look, Telegram is just like many other online platforms where pedocriminals do operate. There is nothing unusual to issue such a warrant. For such a warrant, which is pretty common, why did the UAE Ministry of Foreign Affairs say in a statement that it was closely following Durov's case and that it had submitted a request to the French government to provide him with all the consular services urgently? Just because of the existence of pedocrimes on Telegram? Russia Foreign Ministry Sergei Lavrov did the same by commenting on Durov's detention. Someone in his position is immediately speaking to defend someone who is no longer welcomed in Russia. Remember, huh? Durov said, I'm going away, I will never come back. Huh? And now Durov is taking care of him. Sorry, Lavrov is taking care of Durov just for pedo crimes? Look, due to the sensitive information available on Telegram, there is likely more behind this story. Some also stated, as reported by the magazine Forbes, that the USA could be behind this arrest because Telegram has very sensitive information. Who knows? Telegram is not secured. User data are available and can be shared. It's a trap. It's a honeypot, a Trojan horse, a threat to our democracies. It is a digital world where many criminals are operating. Telegram should be banned like many other social networks. The only question is who will have the guts to do it?
So the
That's all I can say.
funny thing is there are now concerns about TikTok and efforts to ban TikTok, which is mass gathering information about its users and spreading very hostile anti-Western propaganda, and basically bringing children and minors into dangerous challenges that resulted in a number of deaths around the world. But Telegram doesn't have quite a scandalous reputation because it played off this image of being actually pushing pro-Western values in some ways, like freedom of speech. Now Durov, having been arrested, released on a high bail, he claims that he's now undertaking efforts to reform Telegram to remove features that were facilitating criminal activity. What does that actually mean in practice? Does that change the nature of Telegram? Is he just trying to court public opinion and brainwash try to butter up the French authorities? Is it likely to work?
Exactly, yes. It will not change the nature of Telegram. Okay, I can moderate. To say there's pedocriminal content on Telegram. Oh, by the way, I found a drug dealer somewhere in a region. The people who are, it's my opinion, huh? But the people who are paying Telegram are not interested to know that there is somewhere a pedocriminal sharing pictures. They don't care about that. What they want is information from the battlefield. What they want is information from political people who still have Telegram in their pocket. They want information from journalists, from VIPs who think that when they are talking on Telegram, that what they say is secured. We have to uninstall immediately this tool from all our Western countries. As easy as that. It's the threat is too high. It is just too high. And moderation, yes, for sure, you need to moderate because it is impossible to let such things continue online. And we are fighting to make that happen every day. And it is very important. But this will never change the nature of Telegram. It's easy to build a tool so that people can, let's say, go online and socialize. And I guess Europe or, let's say, Western countries can provide a tool which is safe for citizens. But not Telegram, not TikTok. Hey, look, we are fighting against Russia, right? And we have all in our pocket a social media where we put sensitive data on that has been coded by a guy who is born in St. Petersburg, and which company is getting money from the Russians. Is that something that we should continue to do?
I think it's funny, especially when
I
you
don't
mentioned
know.
Iran, because Russia and Iran today have such close relations. They share so much. So I think both Russians and Iranians should be thinking twice about what happens to them in light of this cooperation. The fact that this information
Yeah,
does not just stay in their own country, it likely goes
yeah,
to hostile governments,
yeah,
you know. Uh,
exactly. If through the statement that I am making in front of all the Iranians, I'm basically saying to the Iranian government, um, I will not provide you data that has been on my platform. Um, Basically, go to hell, to be polite. Um, how do Iranian people who are on the street are looking at this guy? They will say, "Hey, finally, we found someone who say to our government, no." And they will gain such a huge confidence in using this application because they are 100% sure that nothing will ever happen to them. And once you have achieved this, how easy it is to just resell data. Because all the sensitive information that Iranian will put on the network because of political activities or whatever, they will use Telegram to do it because they feel safe on Telegram. And then because you have the name of the political dissident guy, or because you have, I don't know, the name of a group or whatever, you can collect the data and you are pretty sure because you close just everything around. And Telegram is the only social network available in your region that people have no other choice than installing Telegram and using it. You collect the data, make a nice packet, a nice package, and resell it to the Iranian government. As easy as that. Do it in Russia, do it everywhere.
it sounds
It's logical
reasonable. It
and it's
sounds
easy.
reasonable. And I hope, by the way, I've heard of I know even some security professionals who actually use Telegram for their activity, and to put it mildly, I have many questions about what happens with their work. Given what we've just discussed, I really hope that people will of any background will watch this program and at least stop to ask themselves some critical questions, because before taking some hyper partisan position defending some guy you don't even know and you trust on the basis of rumors and reputation, I think at the very least you should ask questions. Does this make any sense, and who
Yeah,
benefits? Mhm.
exactly.
Thank you
Exactly,
so much.
exactly.
Thank you for your time, and please keep up your great work. It's very important.
Yeah, we will continue fighting. Don't worry. I wish you all the best, huh?
Thank you so much, and for everyone watching the Washington Outsider Report, we'll be back next week, Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great evening.
Yeah, goodbye. Bye bye.
Bye.